So this is sort of an odd place to be talking to you about the window box, but I'm trying to find sort of a quieter spot because there's lawnmowers going everywhere today, which I guess means that summer is almost here. Also, planting up the window box means that summer is almost here. So that is really exciting because I love planting containers, and the window box is maybe my favorite container to work on every year. This is a bit of a departure for me this year. I am using a lot fewer plants than I usually use, although I'm using a lot of the same plants that I've used in the past, because I have sort of found a mix that I like and that works for me. So I'm just going to run through the plants with you and then we'll plant it up. So along the back, I'm going to be using the Meteor Shower Verbena. This gets the little purple, bluish, light purple ball on top. I really like this plant in the back of that window box because it doesn't get so tall that I can't see out the window. So it's really helpful for that, and actually it's stiff enough that I can still open up the windows a little bit in there. It's hard when you've got casement windows to have a window box because you can't really open the windows, and this way we can a little bit. So this is, I have tried other things in the back row of that window box. I keep going back to this, and I've just learned to just stick with it because it works. Next up, you guys know that I like a little bit of height on the corners of the window box. We've got this very tall house. The window box is on the first floor window, and I feel like there's this big expanse that is a little odd in that it's just this big white house. So the past few years, I have been doing a vine on the ends of the window box and then staking it up with bamboo poles to try to get some height and sort of frame the window. I'm doing that again. I love annual vines. I start them, most of them, from seed. It's super fun to watch annual vines go. So this doesn't look like much yet, but once they get some heat and they get going, they grow, I swear, feet a day. So this is purple hyacinth bean. This is the one called Ruby Moon, and like I said, I grew this from seed. I started this on April 5th. It looks a little puny right now, but it will get going quickly. In the center, I'm doing a single Supertunia mini. This is called a mini Vista Morning Glory. This used to be Supertunia Charm. I actually was looking for a different sort of bluish Supertunia and I couldn't find it, but this one will work great. So this is just going to be in the center of the container, just one of these. Then the only other flower that's going in there is Superbena Royale Peachy Keen. I adore this plant. I have put this in the window box so many times. I just love the color of these flowers. It blooms so well, and I can't get over this color, and I think it ties in really well because remember, I plant all those dahlias underneath the window box, and a lot of those have these peachy tones and pinky tones, so this kind of ties it all in together. And then the last plant that we'll be doing, hi Odin, can you lay down so people can see the plants? Excuse me, sir, can you lay down, please? Thank you. Yes, thanks. Excuse me, down. Thank you. The last plant that I'm putting in there is this licorice plant. This is a licorice splash. This is the variegated one. This is the same licorice plant that I used in the tall containers with the pagoda dogwoods. Again, trying to tie everything in because, as I mentioned when I planted up those pagoda dogwood containers, this year I'm going to bring some silver foliage into that front border right underneath the window box, which is new for me. I usually go more towards the limes. So this plant, this sort of greeny gray color will come out more, and then of course around the edges there's this chartreuse, and that picks up the nicotiana that I always plant in that bed underneath. So, but this is it. Those are the only plants I'm putting in there. This is fewer than I've done before. The thing is that I like very full window boxes, but I also don't like them to be bitsy, and I think sometimes if you put too many different plants in a window box, it just gets too complicated. And in addition to that, because a window box is a pretty small volume of soil, plants don't get as big as they could be getting if you don't give them enough room. So my goal is to have this Supertunia and that Superbena, which, I mean, let's just take a look at how pretty those look together. I mean, right? is to have these get big and bushy. And then of course there will be flowers on the Hyacinth bean. There will be no flowers on this, and then there'll be the flowers on the Verbena Meteor Shower. So this is pared down for me. We'll see how it goes, and I will try to resist the urge to pop more plants in there in the coming weeks. So let's go get this planted up. So this is the most awkward camera shot of the year when I have to stand on this ladder to show you a window box. It doesn't really look like much right now, but here we are, happens every year. Yeah, you know, containers often don't look like a lot when we first put them in, especially this year when you can't get your hands on plants the size that you might actually be looking for. So you have to just kind of roll with it and use your imagination to figure out what it's going to look like. So I am happy with the combination of plants here. I do think it needs some dark foliage, which is what we're going to get from those hyacinth bean vines. Without that, I think this would fall a little bit flat. So that, I think, will bring in that dark element, and that should tie in well with everything else that's happening around it and underneath it and all of that. So that feels great. It's good to get this window box planted, not just because it's my favorite container to do every year, but also because I want to get planting underneath here, and I'd like to get this planted before I do that, because otherwise I stand the ladder on it, it gets to be a big mess underneath there. So this is sort of the start of annual planting. I can get on with it now. Anyway, I hope you're doing something fun in your garden today. And if you're doing containers, tell me about your favorite container combination that you're doing this year, because I love containers. I love looking at other people's containers. I love planting them. I think they're so interesting. It's such a great opportunity to try things that we wouldn't try with like perennials in our garden that are a little bit more permanent. Anyway, we'll catch you soon. Thanks, guys.